It's Saturday, April 9th, 2022. And by the forecast, I was thinking, I could maybe go and assess my bees. Maybe put Apivar in. I'm not sure if I want to put patties on yet, but I'm ready to. And it's maybe 4 or 5 degrees right now and a good little south breeze. And it doesn't ever feel cold out there. So it's woodshop for now. I'll woodshop for a while. I've got tons of covers to trim. I've trimmed these on a table saw, and I've actually run the router around these. And I'll show you some of the detail of that so you get a handle on what I'm doing. But that's it. It's not real early. I spent quite a bit of time in the house doing business and doing some association business. Enjoying my coffee on a Saturday. I haven't had a day off for a couple weeks now, and tomorrow's forecast is looking really good too, so might work tomorrow too. I got to catch every hour of temperature, appropriate temperature I can right now, and that's my excuse. But I know it takes a toll, and I don't like the toll that takes. But they say another big snowstorm next week, so maybe I'll take one of those days off and I'll just sleep all day. Who knows? Anyway, I'll show you what's going on with these covers. So I have to run with the saw all the way up because I need to cut all the way up here. And that is 3 inches. 3 inches, and the max cut on this saw is 3 inches. And I'll tell you, it's barely 3 inches. So you can see I've set the saw fence at 16 5/8. And so you can see how much I'm cutting off here. Okay. 3/16, I'll say. As I was assembling, I chose a side to trim, and I marked that with my magic marker. And so that makes a really nice finished edge and sized just right. So I don't need to stress about the length of the cleats. I don't need to stress about the length of the short shim here. The width of the long shim is not that important. I try to do a 3/4 inch on this side so that once I get to this side, if this shim is 3/4 or if it's 7/8 or what, that's okay. I'll be cutting that off, and that'll end up to be about 3/4. And as it stands, that ends up being about 11/16. So we're just a 16th shy of the 3/4. And once I'm done that, I take my little trim router here, and I have a small round over. And I think that's a 1/4 inch round over bit. It's very small, and you can see as I line that up, it takes a very small amount off the cover. And I'm rounding over the bottom of the feed hole, specifically not the top. I do not round over this edge, but I round over almost everything else. I'll round over here, all the way around this cleat. I'll round over the top edge here. And this is one of the places where running my grain direction this way really shines, because this edge finishes up so beautifully when the grain is this way. If the grain is this way, it'll chip out and it won't end up being nearly as nice. Round over here, all the way around to the top cleat. And, people say I'm crazy, but does that ever feel nice in the hand when you grab that? Those sharp edges just are uncomfortable. This is very comfortable, and it looks great too, especially once it's dipped. And again, I never round this because that feed plug needs to fit snug in here, and if I rounded that over, they wouldn't fit snug. So once you get your groove on and you get a process, that doesn't take very long. It takes 30 seconds to cover. But it's moving covers around. I have to put them up here and then trim them on the table saw, and then do the routing and then put them somewhere else. So I'll have to have another pallet there. So that's what's going on right now. I'm also trimming some of my pallets this morning, and I don't need to trim all the way up here. I just need to trim 1.5 inches the plywood and the end shim and the center thing here, right here. So, and I also, what I don't want is I don't want a score line in this. So what I've done is I've just tilted that blade over to the left 1 degree, and hopefully that'll just keep the blade enough away from that riser that it doesn't mark it. And so I'm just going to trim that, and we'll see how that turns out. I would say that worked perfectly. See how that's nice and flush with that now. Makes a really nice finished edge. See, that's that score line that I'm trying to avoid. And I don't think it's possible to completely eliminate that, because these 2x4s aren't absolutely perfectly the right length, the same length. And it also relies on that 2x4 to be perfectly flush with this piece of plywood, because the plywood is what runs on the fence, and if this riser is a little bit inboard of that, then it'll stick out on this end, and I'll get that score line. So I can always lower the blade a little bit. You know, it looks like I have some margin there, but it makes such a beautiful finish on this part. That's perfectly flush now, as it is with that. So that's a winner, I think. Sunday, April 10th, 2022. I did an update yesterday. I did actually make it to the bee yard, and I worked about 45 colonies here, I guess. So that's about a third. And so that's some nice progress. However, I need to keep going. We got a big snowstorm coming in 2 days. Starting the end of 2 days. Tuesday night it's going to start, they say. All I've done though is assessments. I've just looked in the colony and then wrote an assessment number on the cover. I haven't put any Apivar patties in, and I think I'm going to do that today. I can't decide to start over again or start from where I was. And these quart jars I have over here need refilling too. So I need to do that. And one of my big struggles is dragging my wagon through the mud and the wet ground and from here to there. It's too wet to bring my tractor over here, and so that's just time consuming, and it's tiring too. It's kind of hard to pull, especially when you get some weight in it. So I brought all my patties, my Apivar, and I brought my battery for my fencer here, because I'm going to need to start closing this fence up. So I've got the solar panel on it now. That just stores in my little building though, because it doesn't matter if it gets cold. But and same with the controller here. It's a pretty nice little system. It's even got a USB. I could charge my phone while I'm out here. And I've got a nice battery on it. So that I have to keep in the warm building for the winter. So you can, I don't know if you can hear the controller clicking away. It's not hooked up to the fence yet. I have to dig out the other end of that gate over there. There's no wires here. The wires are stored back behind the camper, and you can see the snowbank. So that might be kind of hard to drag those out. Anyway, this little job is done. And now, look at this mess. Look at this mess. Look at the pile of dirt I made. Oh boy. That dries, I'm going to have some work to do. So yeah, I have to keep going. And finish these up, or finish as many as I can, really. I hope there's going to be really high winds with this storm, and I hope it doesn't blow my pails and jars away. I need to pick up my feed plugs. Feed plugs end up laying all over the ground. You can see over here, feed plugs everywhere. So I need a pail and a box or something. I can drag that along in my wagon. I have a container of foamies here. I'm adding foamies to whatever doesn't have. There's only a few that don't have. I'll talk about that later, why I use them. Probably not why a lot of people use them. And so I've got my two kinds of patties. I'm going to unload these here. I've got a little place here I can just put things. Just so the wagon's not so heavy. And I'll take a box. You'll take one box and use it up, and then I'll come get another one. But I need to get my smoker going. I need my hive tool, all that kind of stuff, and then we'll get going. I got the Apivar there too. Well, I am absolutely played out. I've done about half of my colonies out there. I'm banking on tomorrow giving me some time to do some more. So I've put Apivar and pollen patties on them and refreshed their feed jar or pail, as the case may be. My new veil here. I love this veil. It's covered in bee poop now. Those bees, they just poop on everything. This is a Man Lake Clearview veil. I love it. I wear that with my Ultra Breeze jacket, which doesn't have a veil attached at the moment. I love that jacket too, but I really like this veil. Very, very airy. It's not hot like a fencing veil. So anyway, regardless, I brought 4 little guys in here. These were not nucs in the winter. These were colonies, and they're just really tiny. I don't think they'll make it, but you got to do what you can do, right? So I brought them in here, and they'll sit in here and ride out the storm that's coming in a few days. That's all I can say. It was a little bit warmer. I'll bring them back outside. It's Monday, April 11th, 2022. And I'm a little better than halfway through my colonies, installing Apivar and placing patties. And checking the feed pails too. The feed pails are the one is the thing that uses most of the time, because I can't get anything back there. Just all I can get is my wagon back there. It's so muddy. So I have to just load the wagon, bring it all the way up to the shop here where my syrup tank is, and fill the pails and walk them all the way back. That takes a lot of time. So that's all I'm doing here. I got my wagon here with my patties and Apivar and stuff, and a big bin here collecting the feed plugs. God bless her, my wife came out to help last night. Last evening. It didn't work really late. It was, it was getting on in the day, and the weather was starting to get cooler. I was played out anyway. She picked up all my feed plugs. Well, I picked up probably a third of them. She picked up the rest. And I didn't even ask her to come out, really. I was complaining about how tired I was, but so she took the hint, I guess. And so she picked those up, which was great, and then she collected some feed jars for me, and she came up here and she actually started the pump and filled them up and everything. She kind of wanted to get trained on that, so that was good. And so they're all in that bin now. I can kind of take that bin away, but it's handy for chucking stuff in there, Apivar packages and whatnot, so they don't blow around. I'm looking at a big machine on the road here, cleaning the ditch out. They do that just to help the drainage in the spring, just to give the ditch a bit of a head start on the melt. We're gonna get a big storm here in another probably 36 hours. It's gonna be well underway. I'll go over there. I'll just show you what this guy's doing. Well, I'm all done. Apivar and patties on everybody. Pails and jars filled. You can see a few deads here. Discovered a few more deads, and might as well deads. I got 7 here that I'm taking back to the building. There's one of those I'm pretty sure will be fine. The rest of them I'm kind of writing off, but you know, I have to do what I can do. I think that makes 137 out of 163, which is still a very respectable wintering number overall. This winter has been very bad for most people, so it's an excellent wintering number for this year. You can see the weather is moving in on me. It's cooling off. I can tell that I'm just right in the calm before the storm. I got out here about 10:30. It is 2:45, so that many hours to do what I did. And it might not seem like that much, but it's a lot, especially when it's wet and mucky. So anyway, it is what it is, and they're all done, and now we can have the big storm, and it'll be a week, I'm sure, before I even have a hope to getting back out here. So I'm ecstatic that I got this done. It's Tuesday, April the 12th, 2022. This is the proverbial calm before the storm. It's, I don't know if it's 8:30 in the morning. It's not very late. It's -4 right now. So the ground is firm. And thusly, I was able to get my little orange helper out here with me. Carry some feed pails. I just want to swap out some of these jars for feed pails. I want to feed the nucs in the building. And jars fit on those 4-frame nucs better than pails do. So having said that, it's kind of cool on the fingers here, and I'm going to get moving on this. It's a little bit of a breeze coming this way. I got a little tiny sleep in today, which was nice. Got my work done, so I feel great. And I'm just going to tie up a few loose ends before the storm. I have to get the generator ready, make sure I've got gas for it, make sure my extension cords are out and accessible. And just make sure I'm ready for about 5 or 6 days of riding it out. I don't have lots of wood shop time then. Hopefully the power doesn't go out. I have not started this pump in what, 2 days? And it's -4 out. And I'm going to show you why I love this pump so much, and hopefully it doesn't make a fool of me. I'll turn it on. I think there's gas in it. And I'll give it a choke. And we'll see. I just love it. I love. That is worth every dollar. And I just need idle for filling pails. I'm just gonna top up these pails here. So I don't think I can do that one-handed. Okay, so that little job is done. So I've got, I guess I've got 11 nucs there. I brought these 2 colonies in. These are belong to a friend of mine. Just wanted to winter them here. This one is pretty much a goner. That one's alive, so I put a jar on that. And in prep for the storm, got my tractor inside. Got my generator. Got that out, started up and ran it for a while. Got gas for the generator there. Hopefully I don't have to use it, but it's our main concern really with the generator is to keep the freezers and the fridges going. You know, a rural home, you store a lot of food, and I mean, you can tell that food is important to me. I like to be surrounded by food, but seriously, you can't go to the store every day living out here, especially price of fuel these days. So the power goes out for any length of time, that becomes a problem. So the generator keeps that going, and it keeps the internet alive too, because you need some entertainment. So that's kind of the priority there. I'm going to walk to the apiary. I got my little clipboard here, and I'm just going to count numbers of strong and weak colonies and how many are dead, and just get some statistics for this year. Okay, I'll get this show on the road. I've marked my colonies 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an arbitrary scale. Okay, 1 is she's nearly a goner, but there's still something there. Most of the ones I've taken away and put those 11 nucs that I have in the building, so I shouldn't see any ones here. 2 is probably viable but weak. 3 is kind of average or good. You know, it's viable. It's probably going to make a good colony if nothing detrimental happens to them. Most of these are 3s. 4 is above average, and anything above 4 is even better. So I've got that, and I'm also going to record what I've got on here. This is FA21 round 5. So this is Faith Apiaries 21. So this is last year's queen, and because it has an R5, that's my round 5 of grafting. So I can tell that. Something like FA20, that'll most likely be an OTS queen. Okay, this is a dead. So I'll turn this over, and I'll see what that is. That's an FA20. So, and because there's frames missing, that means this is one of the nucs. I've taken those frames out and put in the building. So that's what I'm going to be recording here. Not just how many alive, how many dead, but I'd like to track what's going on here. I want to know if my grafting is any good. You know, and I do see a lot. See, this is FA21R7. So I think that's the last round of grafting I did. So I've seen a lot of those, and they're doing pretty good. So that's kind of the system that I'm using. I'm just going to walk around and make those notes. It's Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022. Look at this nonsense. This is just barely beginning. Look at it blowing and snowing over there. It's only -1, -2 somewhere in there. It's not that cold, but the wind is just howling. There was no snow had fallen at about 7 o'clock this morning. There was no snow had fallen, and it's I think 9 o'clock now. So this is all just come right up real fast. I gotta walk out there just to make sure everything is copacetic in my apiary. Don't want feed pails blowing off and feed jars blowing over, etc. I've got to go out there and see what's going on just to satisfy my own angst about the whole situation. It's good we're getting the snow first. We're going to get most of the snow here today. Then it's going to get cold. So that's the right order for me, because my theory is the hives will be sufficiently covered with snow by the time it gets really cold. So then they'll be insulated. Snow is an excellent insulator. Be insulated from the cold weather as it arrives, and blocked from the cooling wind if it's still windy at that point. Otherwise, it's woodshop day. I'm finishing off these covers and a few pallets, and I'll show you all about that once I tie into it. Well, first glance, everything looks like it's intact here. Some of them don't have pails, so it's hard to tell at a glance. So I'll just walk around a little bit. It's one thing is really kind of unfortunate is I have pretty good wind block except from the northeast here, and the wind is coming from the northeast. So that didn't work out very well. All these seem to be on here. I should maybe bring out a few more bricks just so I can sleep at night. Because as the pails are getting empty, of course they get lighter and tend to blow off the hives. They'll get iced onto the hives pretty fast though, because the bees continue to warm the top of the box, as you see here. The ring of warmth coming off that box, and it's melting some of the snow. And then as the temperature drops, that ice will weld that pail to the hive. All the jars are standing up. Now I gotta walk back against the wind. Oh. Snow right in the face. Not very pleasant. I'll walk around here and put some bricks on these pails that don't have any. They're just sitting right here, so they might as well be on the pails. Well, I got a few bricks on, not very many. I didn't have very many, but I thought they might as well sit on the pails as sit on the pallet. I'm hiding from the wind by the building here. The wind is coming from kind of from this direction here. So those hives right at the back are kind of getting the worst of it. But you know, it's bad. It's bad, and I think it's going to get windier, they say, and a lot more snow. Probably about 4 times as much snow. You know, people say, "Oh, are you worried about the bees?" Of course, I always worry about the bees. My logic has to take over in what I know of bees, and bees are very resilient, very, very resilient to their environment. They tolerate cold far better than they tolerate heat. So I don't think this is much threat to them. They're not going to go ahead. They're going to kind of stay where they are as far as spring buildup goes. They can't build brood in this. They have been brooding, but I hope that doesn't go backwards. Another 24 to 48 hours, it's going to get pretty cold. Minus 10, minus 11, minus 12, I think. And I think the warm up doesn't come until Monday. It's only Wednesday. So it is what it is. April in Manitoba. Anything can happen, and it usually does. On this cold and blustery day, I'm enjoying my warm and dry workshop. I'm sure thankful for a warm and dry workshop. So I'll catch you up to kind of the little process I got going here. I'm finishing off these covers and getting them stacked up and ready for shipping. So here are my covers. There's 200 of them. And I'm picking them up off of this, I did a few there, but picking them up off this pallet here first, just so I can get that out of the way. Then I'll work on that one, get that out of the way. So just progress, get a little more space in the shop as I go. And as you recall, I've marked one edge with my magic marker to remind me which edge I want to cut off on the table saw. So I stack a few here up on the table saw. And I'll rotate them with my trim edge here. And then I'll bring them down here, run that edge on the fence, run that edge through the saw. I've replaced my blade to my 80 tooth plywood blade. It's very sharp and it makes a very nice job. It doesn't chip out on this edge. There's always a little bit of chip out when the blade comes out on this edge. so that blade doesn't chip out as bad. So I'll run these through here, set them there, stack them all up a little bit farther over. And once I stack those all up, then I'll drag them all back here to where this stack is. Then I get up my little router and I run through them again, and I just stack them right there. And once those are all routed, then I go and I stack them on the pallets. I'm actually using the pallets that I'm the customer's pallets, so I don't have to stack more skids than that. One main reason is these first 4 are going to go in my 1-ton truck, and that's as high as it can be to go under the canopy. That'll barely go under the canopy. I hope it does. And so I can put 4 of those in there. It's an 8-foot bed, so those are not even 22 inches wide each, so it'll fit 4 pretty easily. And there should really only be 8 because there's 24 on one of those pallets, so there'd be 9. There'll be 8, and then some cleanup. 8 pallets and 8 covers, really, I think, as the math goes. And then once that's all done, then I can go and start trimming up all of these pallets. As you recall, you know, they all need to be trimmed here. And once that's done, then we're good to go. So it shouldn't be too many days. My problem is all the pallets I have in the building, the rest of them are out in the outbuilding. So I gotta go out in the storm and get them. I probably won't get to that today because I've got a lot of covers here to do. So we gotta keep working at this and get her done. lot done here. I've got 4 skids here of 24 each, and I have a 5th skid that I haven't decided. It'll have 24, 26 maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to make the numbers come out so that the load is going to be easy to strap and it's not going to shift around and all that kind of stuff. These I'm not worried about because they're going to be in the truck. So they won't even be strapped down, they'll just be in under the canopy. And that's what I have left. So I've done well over half of these 200 covers. Now, I'm very, very happy about that. Because once I get done these, I have to kind of take them up, maybe wait for a nicer day, because they sort of have to move outside. Lift them up, I want to set them on a pallet, and then I'm going to wrap them with the plastic wrap. So once they're wrapped with the plastic wrap, they can go in the truck, then they're out of the way. And then I can get the rest. There's going to be 4 or 5 more pallets, so there's going to be 8 or 9 stacks of these in all. And then I can get along to the 2-way pallets, get them trimmed, and do the same thing with those. Stack them up in some kind of semblance of order and wrap them, get them ready to go. And then I'll be ready to go. Got to do a brake job on the truck before I go, so I'm kind of sidelined with my truck at the moment, my big truck. So I have to get it. I'm planning to get it in here actually. Once I get all of this done, get it out in the other buildings, get the big truck in here, do a brake job, and then it'll be ready to go on a trip. It's about 2 hours each way, so it's not a small trip. That's it for today. It's Thursday, April the 14th, 2022. And look at this landscape. This is just ridiculous. It's still coming down pretty hard too. I don't get it. We need a break. It's supposed to do this until tomorrow. What can I say? Playing indoor games today. Going to finish up my covers, get them on the pallets, and then the next job is I need to get out to the outbuilding and get the rest of the pallets to trim up. Oh goodness, I'm going to need some snow clearing to happen to get those. Look at the snow, look at the ice. The temperatures have not been desperately cold, which I'm thankful for. There's lots of snow and these bees are creating heat, so the fact that the temperatures have not been far below 0 means that they've been melting the snow off of the hives themselves, which is awesome. But I just want to make sure the entrances are clear once the bees can get to melting that out. Well, that was a bit of deja vu, because that was this day last year, 2021, and you can see here it's way worse this year, and it's still coming. It's just ridiculous. I'm not even going to walk out there at this point, because there's some places there's a couple of feet of snow. Well, there was some really deep snow drifts here walking in, but I guess the snow was not quite as deep there. Maybe over the other side, look, the hives are nearly disappeared. I want to come out tomorrow with my shovel, and I'm just gonna take the majority of it away from the entrance, and to be honest, I may bank it up around the hive, because it's going to get kind of cold for a few nights, and I bank the snow up against the hive. That'll help keep the hive warm, keep the cluster warm. It's just kind of ridiculous here, isn't it? Well, my mama always said April weather's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. I'm bushed. That's tough walking out there. It's cold too, especially coming back against the wind. And you're walking a lot. You can't see anything out there. It's so bright, and the snow is just consistent. There's no dirt or dust or anything on the snow. It's just all white, and so you go snowblind and you can't see the ground. I walked across a lake one time, and it was a little bit like that. Walking across a lake, you can't see anything. You just kind of walk. But you have to take small steps out there because you don't know. You could be walking in 6 inches of snow, and your next step could be 1.5 feet, and you fall down because you don't get your balance and whatnot. So you should kind of take in small steps. And I did find myself in 2 feet of snow or more than once, getting from here to there and back. And I wasn't out there long, and by the time I got halfway back, my tracks were gone. The snow was just drifting right in. So I'm staying inside today. That's what I'm doing. So we got a lot of these covers done. A little stack to do. I'm kind of halfway in done these, and making good progress. So I'm happy about that. We'll get these covers done. It won't take me long to trim those pallets, and then everything gets wrapped up and put away for the trip out to the dipper. Well, there it is. I'm done all of these covers. There are 199 covers here. My problem is the order is for 200. So guess what I'm doing? I'm gonna build one more cover. Oh, geez. Oh, you gotta love that. That's better. 200 migratory covers. I come to clear some snow, and my tractor is behind this door. Oh dear. That's a welcome sight. Good timing too. Now I can go clean that windrow up. It is Good Friday, April the 15th, 2022. This is my first real foray into the apiary since the storm, and you may be able to hear that the storm isn't quite over yet. It actually was snowing again here a few minutes ago. I'm going to show you some of these hives, see what's going on at the entrances, etc. So I've cleared the snow here along these so you can see how much snow there is. It's not like loads and loads of snow, but there's a foot anyway. So if you look here, you can see, oh, I can't even see the screen. You can see the entrances are melting out. You see the ice on the board there. The entrances are melting out. They're not melted out completely, but see the ice? See, that's what I'm kind of concerned about. That's blocked off. Now, look at the melt on the cover here. Let's take a look under this pail. See what we've got. This is all for science because I don't want to uncover them all because they're gonna need that for insulation. So I can feel that pail is heavy. As soon as I pick it up, I can feel the buzz. Look at the bees right up there. It's -9 out here. At least it was when I left the house. So you see how resilient these little guys are. I'm gonna have to get my little shovel from the house, and then clear some of these out. That entrance is iced. That needs to be cleared. The bees would probably be clearing it pretty soon. They heat it up pretty good. But there's quite a bit that I think I should do. A lot of them are icing up. So I'll just go around with the hive tool and clean the ice out of the entrances. I'm gonna make a path between the rows here so I can walk. Okay, I cleared each entrance, and that's it. I didn't go any further, just to make sure they can ventilate. I guess it looks like I missed one there. I probably thought it was dead, so I'd better fix that. I'm beat. Cold too. Oh, I'm cold. Toes are cold, my fingers are cold. Oh, this stuff melts soon. It's gonna be